identifying independent and dependent variables. This you should have already learned in science, but we'll go over it one more time. Independent variables are variables that you can choose. You can choose to change them, right? And dependent variables depend on that independent variable. So in this situation, our independent variable, we're looking at y, in fluid ounces of juice remaining, and x, which is gulps. So you can choose how many gulps you take, right? You can't really choose how many fluid ounces are left without drinking it or pouring it out, right? So our independent variable is going to be something we can choose, which is our gulps of juice. Our dependent variable is going to depend on the gulps of juice, which is the juice remaining. Okay? Remember, the juice remaining in our cup or our bottle or whatever always depends on how much you drink. You can choose how much you drink, right? Okay. Now we see here the domain is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have to find the range. Now remember, domain is input. Domain is also the independent variable. The range is the dependent variable. So whatever we're putting in is our independent variable. Whatever we're getting out is our dependent variable. So let's find our range with the domain that's given. So our equation that's given is y equals negative 3x plus 12. Go ahead and scroll down and give me some room. Okay, the domain is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. What is the range? The domain typically is represented by x, or the independent variable. We know that gulps was the independent variable, so gulps needs to be here. That's what we're putting in, right? And the amount of juice is going to be our y, because that's what we're taking out, or that's what we're getting out of this. We'll call it an experiment. So, in order to find our y's, we have to plug all of these in for x. So the first one, y equals negative 3. Let's plug 0 in first. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 12 is 12. Okay, our next one. Negative 3, let's put 1 in, times 1 plus 12. It may be beneficial to cross these off as you put them into your equation so you don't lose track. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 12, or 12 minus 3, is 9. Okay, now we're going to use 2. We have y equals negative 3 times 2 plus 12. We've used 2, let's cross it off. Negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6. 12 minus 6 is 6. Now, let's put 3 in. Negative 3 times 3 plus 12. Cross that 3 off. Negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. 12 minus 9 is 3. Now we have to do one more equation because we have to put 4 in there. So y equals negative 3 times 4 plus 12. Negative 3 times 4 is a negative 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. Y equals 0. Okay, we have all of our y values. Now we just have to put it in our range. Now in this case, we have to write it in decreasing order because our lowest x started it off, and 12 represents 0, 9 represents 1, and so on. So let's do it in decreasing order. So our range is going to be 12, 9, 6, 3, and 0. It's a lot of work just to find the range, but as long as you know how to solve linear equations like we've talked about all year, you should be good to go. Okay. We'll move on to monitoring progress 4. You can go ahead and pause the video, read it, do it on your own. We're going to go over it together. Okay, we have a function which is a equals negative 4b plus 14. It represents the number of avocados you have after making b batches. Remember, a represents avocados, b represents batches, right? So in this situation, first we have to identify the independent and dependent variables. The independent variable is what we can change. Now, in your mind, you might think, well, we can change the number of avocados we have by going to the store, but we're going to pretend like we're already at home. Because the number of batches you make kind of tells you how many avocados you're going to have left, right? And we can control how many batches we make when we're at home. So, the independent variable is going to be batches of guac. That means our dependent variable is the number of avocados we have left, because the number of avocados we have left depends on the number of batches of guacamole that we're going to make, because we can choose how many batches we make, right? So the number of avocados is always going to depend on the amount of batches we want to make or are going to make. So our dependent variable is the number of avocados. Once you know those two, we're able to find our range with the domain that is given, which is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So remember, B represents batches. Batches is our independent variable, so we're going to plug it in for B to get the number of avocados left after we make a certain amount of batches. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to write my equation up here and scroll down. A equals negative 4, B plus 14. Okay, again, our domain starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, and we have our equation, which is A equals negative 4B plus 14. Remember, we are plugging our independent variable in to get an output, which is the number of avocados. So we look, the number of avocados, which is A, equals negative 4 times 0 plus 14. So we look, negative 4 times 0 is 0, 0 plus 14 is 14. Our second equation, A equals negative 4 times 1 plus 14. Negative 4 times 1 is a negative 4. 14 minus 4 is 10. So that tells us right there, if we are making one batch of avocados, we are using 4 avocados, right? Because 14 minus 4 is 10. That means we have 10 left. Now let's do another one. We have A equals negative 4. What if we're trying to make 2 batches of avocados? Negative 4 times 2 is 8, so that means we're using 8 avocados of our 14 that we had to start with. Negative 8 plus 14, or 14 minus 8, is what? 14 minus 8 is 6. Okay. Now, what's next? A equals negative 4 times 3 plus 14. All right, 3 batches of avocados now. Negative 4 times 3 is a negative 12. 14 minus 12 is 2. That means after making 3 batches of avocados, we have 2 avocados left. Or 3 batches of guacamole, I should say. So we've learned several things. First of all, we've learned that it takes 4 avocados to make a batch of this guacamole anyway. And we know that we need to only make 3 batches. 14 will only give us 3 batches of guacamole. So let's write our range from what we have. We have 14, 10, 6, and 2. Remember, 14 lines up with 0, 10 with 1, 6 with 2, and 2 with 3. So let's write it in that order. Range equals 14, 10, 6, and 2. So that is our range. Remember, it's a lot of work to get to the range, but if you know that you just have to plug those in for x or whatever variable you're given as your independent variable, then you can find your range pretty easily.